Ever since I put out my original video critiquing popular Bluey theories, people have been asking for a part 2. One of the theories from that video even got officially confirmed a few months later, which I talk about in my last video. In that video, I asked for you to tell me any theories you'd want to see covered in a future video, and after scouring the comment section for minutes on end, I came to the conclusion that you guys are pretty bad at coming up with theories. So instead, I found 7 more Bluey theories that I'll be rating from 1 to 5 based on how likely I think they are to be true. Like and subscribe for more, and let's get right into it. Number 1. Bandit was in a band when he was younger. Bandit has shown at least some interest in music in several Bluey episodes, but he seems to be especially proficient in the drums. In The Weekend, Bandit rocks out with a drumstick lovingly gifted to him by Bluey. He clearly has a pretty good rhythm going on and isn't just banging the drumstick on the table. In another Season 1 episode, Neighbors, Bandit is seen fully jamming on a mini drum kit probably intended for the kids. Here, he looks more like he's just slamming away with no intention other than being as loud and annoying as possible, which I'd say he pulls off. Still, he shows some legitimate skills before belly flopping and crushing the whole thing. The wig Bandit wears is also seen in the episode Work, where we see that Bandit keeps a framed picture of himself singing his heart out in that very wig, which to me seems kinda odd. If it was a picture of him in the wig with Bingo and Bluey, then I think it'd make more sense to have framed on your desk. The fact that it's just him in the wig makes me think that this isn't just a random picture of him playing around. Who knows, maybe back in the day, Bandit was rocking around the world in his majestic golden wig. Maybe he was performing at the party in London that Chili claims is where they first met. Maybe whatever band he was in became quite famous, which is how the Healer family have such nice homes. I would guess that Bandit left the band shortly after this alleged party in London, before settling down with Chili and studying archaeology in Australia. Perhaps he was already studying archaeology while he was performing. Personally, I really like this theory and I want it to be true, but I'll admit the evidence isn't all that strong. Overall though, I'll give this theory a 3.5 out of 5 on the likeliness scale. Number 2. The entire show takes place in Bluey and Bingo's heads as adults. This theory doesn't have evidence in the same way these other theories do. Instead, this theory explains some of the inconsistencies in the show. There are a few small ones, like the toy car having no bottom except when it does, and Mort's spot patterns changing during the episode Phones. Mainly, however, it explains the ever-changing layout of the house. Dozens of members of the Bluey community have tried their hardest to recreate the Healer home's layout, but it quickly proves to be impossible. The house has new rooms pop in and out of existence, doors that lead to one place sometimes lead to another, and the whole thing is just a mess. Within the Bluey universe, this house morphing would be impossible. The only way it could make even a little sense was if that wasn't really the house, but a recreation of it in someone's mind. Perhaps, years after the events of the show, Bluey and Bingo try to remember all the shenanigans they got up to when they were little. This would explain away every little detail that doesn't quite add up because, well, it's all in their heads. I don't like this theory. I feel like it's used as a cop-out a lot and doesn't add anything to the viewing experience. So final verdict, 1 out of 5. Number 3. Magic is real. Okay, so what was up with the ending of fairies? Besides the fact that everyone is a dog and that they don't wear clothes, the Bluey world is practically identical to the real world. But then you get to fairies and this happens. It defies all logical explanation. That thing sure was a fairy, alright. So I guess fairies are real in the Bluey universe? Another episode with some odd implications is Featherwand. Some of the objects bend in ways only possible if they really were heavy, and it could be argued that Pat probably didn't know what was going on, even when Bingo points at him and yells heavy. I mean, if a little kid came up to me, pointed, and said heavy, I would think they meant something else. This theory goes along with the last one. Maybe all this stuff is real because Bluey and Bingo remember it being real. Personally, I think the fairy was supposed to be a figment of Bingo's imagination, like the ending in Ragdoll. Bluey doesn't actually do all that, but we get to see it anyway because she imagined it. As for Featherwand, I suspect Pat's played this game before and knew exactly what was coming as soon as he saw Bingo with the feather. Overall likeliness, 1.5 out of 5. Number 4. Chili intentionally set up Rad and Frisky in Double Babysitter. Double Babysitter is one of my personal favorite episodes of Bluey. The dynamic between Rad and Frisky was so good, and it's a shame they haven't gotten a single other episode dedicated to them. They first meet by total accident, when a mix-up between Chili and Frisky accidentally leaves 2 babysitters for Bluey and Bingo. While playing with the girls, Rad and Frisky realize they have a lot in common, and by the end of the episode, they've formed a really special relationship. Well, what if the miraculous mix-up that caused all this wasn't a mix-up at all? We know that Frisky isn't just a babysitter, but a really close friend of Chili's because she's Bluey and Bingo's godmother. Frisky recently, or at least recently enough that the kids don't know about it, went through a tough breakup, and I think Chili absolutely knew about it. She probably also knew that Rad was single, given he's her brother-in-law. There are a lot of happy coincidences that make Rad and Frisky getting together possible, but is it really enough to mean that Chili did all this on purpose? I'm on the fence with this one. I feel like it makes sense, but it feels like a really odd way to set someone up. A lot has to go right, and I feel like if Chili really did set them up, she would have played a more direct role in them getting together. As it stands though, I'm going to give this theory a 2.5 out of 5 on the likeliness scale. Quick bonus theory, some people who believe this theory also believe Chili set up Stripe and Trixie. We know that Chili and Trixie are both active field hockey players, so maybe they first met before Trixie met Stripe. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled theories. Number 5. Granddad Mort fought in the Vietnam War. Okay, by this point I'm getting into some very strange theories if I haven't reached that point already. Basically, we know Mort fought in a war sometime, and there's not a lot we can realistically pick from. Given that Chili was born sometime in the late 70s or early 80s as seen in Fairy Tale, I'd say he was likely born somewhere around 1950. This would make him 18 around 1968. Australia's military presence in Vietnam peaked in 1965, and from 1962 to 1972, some 60,000 Australians served in the war. To me, there's really no other option. In the episode Granddad, Mort does talk about learning to sneak through a jungle, and we know Mort has won awards for his military service. As weird as it seems to think about, I think that this theory is almost certainly true. 4.5 on the likeliness scale. Number 6. The Healers are the cool family, and everyone on their block envies them. Here, I don't mean envy in a nasty way, just that everyone has accepted that the Healers are the main characters of the universe. I often get the vibe that other parents look at Chili and Bandit and think, man, I wish I could be as dedicated to my kids as them. This even extends to the kids too. Several times, Bluey has been shown to be the leader of her friend group, often making the games, assigning roles, or explaining the rules. She does it in Shadowlands, Circus, Shop, Spy Game, Helicopter, the list goes on. This theory, like the one I'll be discussing right after this one, and we will get into that, is mainly based on vibes instead of real evidence. It's clear that everyone in the neighborhood loves Bluey, Bingo, Bandit, and Chili. They have a great image to their peers who have nothing but respect for them. Whether or not this theory is true doesn't really matter. I think that it's just a friendly, almost perfect version of our world where everything is all sunshine and rainbows for the most part. Anyway, I like this theory, but I don't really buy it. Overall rating, 2.5 out of 5. Number 7. Last and probably least, we have a theory that I saw pop up all the time when doing research for this video, as well as the first one. Bandit and Wendy are into each other. Some people think one likes the other, or they both like each other but don't want to say it, and some think they've been having full-on affairs. Well, Bandit at least. The status of Judo's dad is unknown. I think it's time I put my 2 cents in. So why have people thought this? I honestly don't know. Most of the quote-unquote evidence for this theory comes from some weird vibes given off by Wendy, particularly in Season 3. Before that, she usually appeared as a background character or to be interrupted by Bandit embarrassing himself. The episodes Sheepdog, Ragdoll, and Dirt are where most of the ground for this theory come from. The two clearly don't have any issues being in close contact with each other, as seen when Bandit rams his head into... I don't care how dedicated to a game I am not doing that to my neighbor. Then, in Ragdoll, Wendy gets very touchy with Bandit trying to move him around. There's even the "Whoa, Wendy, watch the hands" line, which I find equal parts funny and uncomfortable. Lastly, in Dirt, she gives Bandit this look. That's all I have to say, I just wanted to point that out. I find this theory hard to believe. It's just weird to think of the characters in that way. I could maybe get Wendy liking Bandit a little, but the feelings definitely aren't mutual. I give it a 0.5 out of 5. And before you say it, Chili and Pat aren't a thing either.
Woo! Shake it, Chili!
That is going to do it for this edition of Rating the Likeliness of Bluey's Most Popular Theories. Sorry there weren't as many bangers as last time. I pretty much already ran out of the good ones. This one did have a lot of funny and weird ones, though. As always, if you have a Bluey theory, let me know. I'm always looking for new ones. Like and subscribe to prove how cool you are, and I'll see you in the next video.